Hey guys, Will here with CreateStudio, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a YouTube subscribe banner right here in CreateStudio Pro. Alright, so let's go ahead and play back the final product so you can see what you're going to be creating. Alright, so let's go ahead and break that down. So we've got the banner, and it goes ahead and it has an animation where it brings it up, going towards the top there. And then we've got the mouse movement, and it goes and it clicks on the subscribe button, and then it turns into subscribed, right? And then it kind of navigates over to the bell, clicks the bell, and it turns into the bell has been checked icon. Now we do have a profile bubble as well as the YouTube name with the subscriber count. All right, so let's go ahead and delete this so we can start from scratch and get this creation going. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to click on shape, and I'm going to go ahead and click on a rectangle. All right, so I'm basically going to create the foundation for the YouTube banner, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just bring this down a little bit, and then drag this out to the sides, and then drag the left side out here to the sides as well. All right, so far so good. Now I'm going to go ahead and group this rounded rectangle. Before I change any colors and do anything, I'm just going to go ahead and right click it and select group. All right, so now I've got this master group, and I can go ahead and bring out the timeline here and extend out our rounded rectangle. All right, so what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and change the color of this and make it white. So over here in your settings, I'm going to go ahead and select the color, and then on my color wheel, I'm just going to drag this all the way to white and get set up that way because that's the color of the banner, right? So I changed to white. All right, now let's go ahead and rename this, and we'll just call our rounded rectangle, we'll call it background, just to stay organized, and I'll bring it down a track, and there we go. So my next step now is to create the profile picture bubble, right? So I'm going to go ahead and select my media, and I'm going to navigate to where my images are, and I'm going to go ahead and drag the picture of the guy into my canvas here. Now it's pretty large, right? So what I want to do is I want to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to scale it down to the size of this canvas here. All right, and if you want to kind of hit to reframe your canvas real quick, you can go ahead and hit the F key on your keyboard. Now we'll kind of center the canvas there for you and get it back to size real quick. All right, so let's go ahead and drag down our image here just a little bit, just to size it up to the size of our canvas. And then what I need to do is I need to add another shape, which is going to be a circle, and that is going to be masked to the image so that I can create the picture bubble circle that we're looking at here, right? So let's go ahead and click on shape, and then let's click on circle, and then let's move our circle over on top of our picture of the guy here, and then I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And then once I got a good little position here, all I'm going to do is come down to my timeline, and I'm going to select the circle, and I'm going to select the picture of whoever I have. You may have somebody different. It may be you, but whatever it is, make sure you select the circle, left click it, hold shift on the keyboard, and then left click on the picture you have. All right, now once you got that, you can right click on either the circle or the picture, it doesn't matter. Just right click it and then click on mask. All right, so there we have a nice circle mask of the image that we had. Now I do have some cropping going on at the top and bottom, so in order to adjust that, or maybe you want to reframe your picture because it's too far to the left or too far to the right, what you can do is you can double click on that picture, and it brings up the circle that you masked the picture to, right, which is pretty cool. Now you can resize this to fit the circle there, and you can see I had that gap there, so I can go ahead and just drag in my circle a little bit, resize it up, and that looks pretty good. And then just click off anywhere, and there you go. Now you got your profile pic bubble, which is looking pretty nice. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and extend out this guy to match the length of the background. All right, so what you can do here is now you can click on the masked picture there with the circle, and then you can resize that and make it a little bigger if you want. Line it up, center it, make it look nice, right? All right, so the next thing I wanna do is I wanna go ahead and add a subscribe button. So I'm gonna come over here to our components, open up the components, and then find the button category, and then drag that into my canvas here. All right, so there is our subscribe button. I'm gonna go ahead and move it down the line a little bit, and I'm gonna resize it just a little bit. Doesn't need to be so big there, and then just move it over to the right a little more. And again, if you pull it in close, you can kind of find that center line, and then just kind of line it up nicely so everything's nice and neat. All right, so looking good so far. Now I want to add the unchecked bell. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and expand this out just a little bit though. And I do want to rename this. So let's rename our picture here so we stay organized so I know what I'm looking at. Let's rename this profile pic, just so we know. And then the button is the button, but I can rename this and call it unchecked, right? Unchecked button. All right. So let's go ahead and then go and find the bell. So we're going to go over here to our shapes, and I'm just going to search here and type in bell just to kind of narrow it down. And there we go. These are the two bells we will be using. There's the unclicked bell, and then there is the checked bell, right? So I'm just going to click on the bell, and it will add it to my canvas there for me, and I can go and click it and then drag it around the side here and resize it right next to my subscribe button. All right, so looking good so far. Make this a little smaller, and there we go. All right, so perfect. All right, so next step is we need to add some text. All right, so I'm going to drag this shape up though, just of the bell, just up 2 tracks, because I'm going to add some things here in a little bit later. But let's go ahead and drag this bell out a little bit, and let's rename this, and let's call it again. This is not our shape. We're going to call it our unchecked bell. All right, so that's good to go. So now I want to add some text. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to our text button here at the top, click on it, and move our text over a little bit closer to our bubble. And let's go ahead and name it CreateStudio Pro. All right, now you may name it whatever your YouTube channel may be, but this is kind of just getting started so you can see how this works. All right. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to come over here. I did adjust our font, so it's the Poppins font, right? And you can search for fonts right here if you want to change it to any font that you like. And I went ahead and changed the weight, and I'm going to go ahead and make this, let's make it semi-bold. All right. And so let's change the scale because it's pretty large and it's going past the profile bubble there. And let's go ahead and make it somewhere in the 50s and looking good. All right, so go ahead and find a good sweet spot for it. And then once you got it lined up, go ahead and go up to the text again and add another text box. And we're going to call this one our subscriber count, right? So this one's going to be, we'll say 10,000 subscribers. All right. And then everything is the same, right? We've got the same font, Poppins, but I'm going to go ahead and change this one to medium. And then I'm going to go ahead and scale this guy to about somewhere in the 30s. All right, so let's go over here to our scale and let's click somewhere in there. And now we're looking real good there. All right, so we've got our subscriber count and it's nice and lined up. And now what I want to do is I'm going to change the color of our subscriber count so it's a little offset from the black there. So let's go ahead and select your subscriber text, come over here to your settings, click on color, and then let's go ahead and change it to this gray color right here. It's looking good. All right. So now we've got a little bit of differentiation between the colors between our title of our YouTube page as well as the subscriber count. All right, so now I want to add one more element. So I'm going to go over here to my media files and I'm going to open up my folder and I'm going to drag in my cursor. So I'm going to left click and drag my cursor into my canvas there. And I'm going to go ahead and resize it because it's a little large. So I can put my cursor at the edge of the corners here, left click and drag in, and it will make it a little smaller there for me, right? You can always go over here to settings and adjust your scale from here by punching in manually or by using the slider. So there's a lot of different ways to do multiple things. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just make that a little smaller. All right, so now I want to change the color of my cursor. So with your shape cursor selected, come over here to your settings and then click on color and then go ahead and drag it down to be black. All right, so now I want to go over to my border and I'm going to go ahead and change the width to be 7 or so. And then I'm going to change the color of my border to be white. So I'm going to drag this up to the white. All right, so I can't really see it yet, so I got to make some adjustments in my shadow. So I'll go to my shadow and let's go ahead and make the distance on that 7. And then let's change the blur. Let's make that about 14. All right, so now you can see I've got a little bit of shadow and my white outline is showing. So let's move this cursor down out of the way and we'll get to that in a second. All right, so let's go ahead and rename this cursor or this shape and let's call it cursor actually. That way we know what it is that object is. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and let's kind of expand this in a little bit and let's drag out our text to be the length of this time here. And then let's also drag our cursor out as well. All right, now what I wanna do is I'm gonna scroll down a little bit and let's remove some of these excess tracks. So if you right click anywhere in the open area of your tracks timeline, go ahead and click on remove excess tracks and that will clear up some of that space. All right, so now I want to go ahead and make a duplicate of my subscribe button. So what I can do is I can select my subscribe button, come over here and click on duplicate. All right, so now I can move that duplicate copy to the right And then let's go ahead and right click it and click rename. All right, now let's call it our checked button so we don't get confused with what we're working with. Let's move my cursor over here so we can see the changes we're going to make here. And now I need to change this duplicate subscribe to say subscribed. So let's go ahead and then go ahead and click in here and let's rename it to subscribed. And if it adds an extra line there, what you can do is come over to your text size and let's just readjust that to be 65. All right, so now we've got our duplicate subscribe button, and I do need to change it so the color is a little gray, right? So it looks like it's been clicked on. So let's go over here with our subscribe button selected here. Go over here to our background color and let's make it the gray color. And let's come over to our text color and let's make it this dark gray. All right, so far so good. It's gonna go from this subscribe button here to this one. So you click it and then it turns this color like that. So now you kind of see what that looks like. So now we're gonna adjust the bell. So I need to get that other bell that shows where it's been rang, and then we're gonna change the color of that as well. So let's go over here and let's just go ahead and make a new track above this one. All right, and then let's come here and let's go to our shape. And then we've already typed in bells, so we already have this one, and this is gonna be our secondary bell. So I'm gonna go and just click that guy right there. And then let's go ahead and drag this new bell down to that track we created. So I'll put that about right here. Okay, so what I can do is I can right click this bell and rename it. And let's call this our checked bell. And that way we can drag our cursor and then let's go ahead and resize it. So we want it to be 35. So let's drag our scale here to 35. And then I do want to adjust it so it's pretty close to where the other one is. So what I can do is open up my properties and make sure that I checked this on the other one. It should be about 515. There we go. All right, so now we're pretty close to where the other one is. Yeah, that's good. All right, I'm gonna change the color though of this checked bell. So select it and then come over here to our color and let's make it this light gray color as well. All right, so now we've got all the elements we need to start animating the cursor and making clicks and things happen. And then we'll add the sounds at the very end. All right, so let's go ahead and scroll up and go to our cursor and let's start animating it across screen. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I can either right click, add animation, and then add a position from here, or for a quick key, what I can do, and a lot simpler, is just selecting my track there and then click P on the keyboard, and it automatically added a position keyframe set for me, which is pretty awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and move our keyframes over a little bit. And the starting point for our first keyframe is gonna be at the exact spot that the cursor is at right now. So I'm gonna select my first keyframe and just click right here on this cursor to make sure it locks it in. Select my second keyframe, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and move it up and choose this spot right here on my subscribe button. And then now you can see that when I play this back, it's gonna go ahead and pull the cursor up. Now remember, the farther apart your keyframes are, the slower it happens. The closer they are together, the faster the animation is, right? So I think we'll keep it there, and then we'll go ahead and I'll leave it right there for right now. All right, so that comes in. Now I need to create like a click effect with the mouse, so it's like it's punching in. So what I can do is, again, instead of right clicking, adding animation, or coming over here and clicking add animation, what I can do is just make sure my cursor is selected there, and then I can click on scale, or the S button on the keyboard, and it will create a scale keyframe set for me, which is really awesome too. All right, so what I can do is then select this first keyframe, and it's gonna start at 54, and then as my scale right here. And I'm gonna select my end keyframe, and let's go ahead and change that scale to 47. All right, so that makes it punch in, so it's going in like that. So as you can see, it comes on screen, and then it's gonna click, and I will actually pull this whole set back so it happens a little faster. So it comes up, clicks, and he's clicking too slow, so let's go ahead and speed that up, and let's zoom in a little bit so we can see what's going on in this timeline. So it comes up, clicks, and again, I think we're gonna make it happen a little bit faster. There we go. So now with that happening, now we need to add another scale animation, and we need to have that mouse come back out, right? So let's go ahead and add another scale keyframe animation. So I'm gonna hit S on my keyboard, and it's gonna add a scale keyframe set for me right there. And again, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at 47 right there. and select my second keyframe, and I think it was at 54. So let's go ahead and change that second keyframe to be 54 there on our scale back up there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and make this happen real quick. So let's see what we got here. So he comes in, there we go. Now we got this nice little click effect, and I can even zoom in a little more, and I could probably make that happen a little bit faster just for, there we go. All right, awesome. So we've got a good set of keyframes going on here. Now I need to make this mouse or this cursor go from the subscribe button to the bell. All right, so let's go ahead and select our cursor, and let's select P for position, and it'll automatically on the keyboard, typing P will give me a set of position keyframes, right? And again, if you're used to doing this the other way, you can always right click, add animation, and then choose position. It's up to you, totally your preference. All right, so now I'm gonna select my first position, and that's gonna be right where it is. And I'm gonna select my second keyframe, and I'm gonna move it to the bell. All right. And so now I'm gonna move it in a little closer so it happens a little quicker. So we got go from here, and again that might be a little too fast, so let's drag that out a little bit. There we go. And now let's go ahead and make that click happen with the bell, right? So the same way we added a scale set of keyframes by typing S on the keyboard, we're gonna do the same thing. So with my cursor selected, I'll type S on the keyboard, and it adds a scale set of keyframes. So again, I'll select my first keyframe, and it's starting at 54, and I'll select my second keyframe, and we're gonna have it go to 47, just like the other one. All right, and I'll pull that in so it happens pretty quick. And then once it's there, it's clicking, and now we need to create one more set of scale animations. So I will then select my cursor, type S on the keyboard, and that will create another scale set of keyframes. And let's go ahead and leave that at 47. And then we need to make this last keyframe 54 so it comes up properly. And then let's pull that keyframe in so it happens back up pretty quick. And let's see what the speed of that looks like. And again, there's a little snag right here, so we can zoom in. And let's go ahead and pull this back and tighten that up a little bit and see what that looks like. There we go. All right, so we got a good set of keyframe scale animations there, and that's looking pretty good. I'm going to zoom back out. And now the last thing we need to do is we need to make our cursor just kind of disappear off screen. So what I can do is then move my cursor out a little bit. And again, I can always right click, add animation, and choose position. But what I'm going to do for this instance is I'm going to go ahead and select P on the keyboard, and it's going to add a position keyframe for me, which is great, right? Pretty quick and easy, keeps my workflow going. All right, so then I can then click on this position here, and this is where it's going to start. And I will click my ending keyframe, and then I'll just go ahead and drag it off screen like that. All right, and I can go ahead and pull this in a little bit, and let's see what that last sequence looks like there. And it goes up. So a little fast, so let's go ahead and pull it out a little bit more, and bam, there we go. All right, so we've got our good set of cursor animations going. So let's play that back real quick. Comes in, clicks on subscribe, moves over to the bell, clicks on the bell, and then moves off screen. All right, so now what we can do is we can go back down and make some adjustments with our subscribe animations and kind of give them a little more tweaks here. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and scroll down, and I'm going to add some scale animations to our subscribe button and to our bell, right? So they match the mouse movements, okay? So let's go to our subscribe button first, and let's kind of scrub across here. So the mouse comes in and clicks right there, right? So we need to scale back our subscribe button about right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and with our subscribe button selected, click S on the keyboard, or type S on the keyboard to add a scale position, or a scale animation keyframe, I should say. And then go ahead and select your first keyframe there. And the starting point is going to be right where it is. And then our second ending keyframe is going to be, let's go to our scale here, and let's make it about, let's go 77. All right, so it's going to go in like that. And then I'm going to trim this in actually about right there. All right, and let's see what that does. So it comes in, and let's go ahead and speed that up a little more so it happens pretty quick. And I'm trimming in the subscribe button as I go, so I can, you'll see how this is going to work in a second. All right, so again, I may want to adjust this a little more. So let's speed up that keyframe there. There we go. All right. So now what I can do is pull our subscribe button right here, and then I'll pull in this trim a little bit more and then go right there. So now, there we go. Now we've got this, and I'm also going to add a specific motion animation to the subscribe button, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on my subscribe button, come over here to motion, and then on the in there, I'm going to go ahead and select a scale, and I'm going to go, let's do back up. All right. And so then what that's going to do is, so it's going to kind of give it that little extra little flare that we see there. Boom, just like that. All right. So pretty cool little motion there. And so that adds just more detail, more character to the animation itself, right? So it punches in and then it punches back out. All right. So next up, it's going to go to the bell, right? And then we got to make that animate down a little bit too, right there. So let's go up to our bell here. Our unchecked bell is right there. And I'm going to go ahead and scale this back a little bit too. But we want our bell to kind of punch in right there as it's going to. So I'm going to, again, select your unchecked bell, click on or type S on the keyboard to create a scale keyframe animation. And the first one is going to be exactly where it's at right there. The second keyframe is going to, let's make that about 32. All right. So then now, if I pull this back a little more to make it punch in faster, oh, let's see. Looks like it didn't take, so let's see what's going on here. So it starts 32, and then, oh, that's why. I think this is supposed to be 34 right here. There we go. There we go. All right, so it goes in just like that one does. Now let's trim this guy in right here like that. And then let's bring our checked bell over here, right here, just like so. And then there it goes. You see how it transitioned nicely to the gray? Now what I can do is the same way that I did the backup, what I can do is I can copy this exact animation here, this motion animation. And so I can select it. I can actually hit Command C on the keyboard, come over here to my checked bell, and then Command V and paste that into my checked bell, which is pretty nice. So I don't have to keep punching that back in. It's a nice little quick key. All right, so now when I play that back, boom. Nice little small detail animation that kind of really brings it to life, right? So now there's one more thing I can do to kind of add a little more flair to that bell when it turns gray there, is I can select, let's actually punch in here a little bit so you can see. So I'm going to select the backup motion here, and then I'm going to open up my advanced settings, and I'm going to adjust the rotation, and I'm going to make this -33. All right. So now what that will do is when I play this back now, you see it gives it a little more of a little twist there with that rotation. So it really kind of shows how much life it's got there. So it's looking really good. So let's go ahead and zoom out here. All right, so now what we can do is we can add some sound effects to kind of really bring these mouse clicks to life. All right, so let's scroll up to the top here to where our mouse cursor is, and let's find the spot where it clicks the subscribe button for the first time. All right, so it starts to happen about right there, right? So let's go over here to my media, and let's open up my sound effects. Let's drag in my mouse click sound effect into my canvas here. All right, so let's see if that lines up perfect. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here, and let's play this back. Bam, so it's pretty spot on. All right, I could maybe zoom in a little bit more and maybe scooch it over just a smidge. There we go, and maybe back it up just a little bit. All right, and so that is our first mouse click, right? And so now what I wanna do is go over to the bell and do the same thing, right? So the mouse clicks about right here. So again, I'll come into my media, drag in my mouse click into my canvas, and then see how this plays out here. All right, awesome. And now for the bell, we want to add a bell sound effect. So once they click the bell, we get a little ding. So what I can do is go back to my media and then drag in my notification bell. And let's drag this underneath our mouse click. And kind of like true sound design, we can kind of give it a little bit of a, there we go. Just like that. Now you can adjust the volume of the bell by selecting the bell sound effect there and going up to your volume and then just dragging your volume slider down, maybe like 50%, just so it's not so abrasive. There we go. So that's really good. So that's how you can add some sound effects, kind of bring it to life a little more. Now let's go ahead and back out to the main timeline here. And let's kind of zoom in here. And so what we've got is we need to add an animation to our master group here, right? So I need it to come up from the bottom. So let's go ahead and select our group, go to motion, and then we're gonna go to position and we're gonna choose top, all right? So now what that's gonna do is it's gonna allow it to come up and then come up nice and easy there. Now what I can do is I can kind of speed that up just a little bit. So now it's gonna come up like that, there we go. And then what I can do is go to the out part and I can also do position and let's go bottom, right? So right there. And then now what I can do is play that back from there and it will then go back out. So that's how you kind of create that little back and forth motion there, which is really cool. And then now if I play it back, got that, and then the mouse is going to come in, click. All right. And then it will easily just go back to the bottom there. So that's pretty cool way to create a YouTube banner there inside of CreateStudio Pro. So hopefully you got some really cool quick tips out of here. Can't wait to see what y'all create, and I'll catch y'all in the next tutorial.